Hey guys, Jordan here. I just finished up an interview with Kaitlyn E.G., a real estate photographer out of New Braunfels, Texas. And three things I got out of this interview is one, that she just started her real estate photography business in 2019. Two, in her first year, she made 20K. And in 2022, she made 75K as a real estate photographer. Also in this interview, she shares a ton of great marketing tips for real estate photographers. So I hope you enjoy the interview. Hey guys, Jordan here with Real Estate Photography Hub, and today we have a real estate photographer out of New Braunfels, Texas. We have Kaitlyn E.G. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for taking time out of your busy day and joining me on this interview.
Yeah, of course. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So we're going to give the audience a little bit of a rundown of your background in real estate photography real quick. So when did you get into real estate photography?
I started about 3 years ago, at the end of 2019.
Awesome. Are you currently part-time or full-time?
I'm full-time.
Full-time. And what's been your best year so far out of the 3 years that you've been shooting real estate photography?
It's actually been this last year that has been the most profitable. It's just been growing, every year, just slowly.
Awesome. And what was that number, a rough estimate for last year?
It's about 75K.
Very nice. All right. Awesome. And so how long did it take you to transition from full-time into a part-time, or sorry, from part-time to full-time real estate photographer?
I guess about 2 years. The first year was kind of slow. We had, I think the first year was like 20,000, and then every year it's just kind of grown by 20,000 every year. It seems like around that. So, yeah, it's been. Sorry, I kind of forgot the question for a second. I trailed off a little.
No. So it took you about 2 years to transition into being a full-time real estate photographer from when you started?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And then how many repeat customers do you service on a regular basis?
I'd say about 20. I'm not totally sure, but I'd say around 20 or so. They're always repeat.
Very nice. And do you recommend somebody starting out if that they start part-time or in transition, or just jump in full-time having had gone through the process already?
I would say start out part-time. I play it safe a little bit more. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. Like, you can still open your business, but you can also like contract to other bigger companies and just kind of make your way there. You get more practice with those companies. And then, as soon as you kind of make more business, get those connections, and like transfer to full-time.
Sure. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about your origin story. So what was your background, and then what did that transition look like, and what really got you interested in real estate photography in 2020 or 2019, right?
Yeah. In 2019. So I started with portraits. Well, actually I started with like nature and stuff like that, of course, and then the flowers didn't pay very well. So I was like, well, time to move on to people. So moved on to portraits, and then from there, weddings, and it was just tiring, just always the same thing. Weddings really burnt me out. So I decided to, move over to real estate photography. Once my husband started flipping mobile homes, he asked if I could do the interiors, and I was like, yeah, sure. So I go in and, start shooting the interiors, and realize like that was totally different than portraits, and weddings and stuff like that. But the transition's been really, after learning a bunch, YouTube's a great resource. And then the real estate photography groups as well, has been a helpful transition to learning real estate photography. And then, just slowly cutting back on portraits, slowly cutting back on weddings, and, taking more real estate jobs.
Sure.
Like that.
And when you transition from a portrait photographer, I see this sometimes when a portrait photographer takes pictures of real estate photography. It's like, I was just wondering, how long did it take you to pick up a wide angle lens? Because sometimes it's like, oh yeah, they're definitely a portrait photographer.
That 50 millimeter. Right?
Yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
Wow.
I tried to look up everything first, before I really
smart.
go in. So I did get the links, first thing, because because I mean, I know the process of learning portraits was a thing, and I remember looking back on my beginning work, and so I didn't want to be like that with real estate. I wanted to make sure I learned everything before I started, but still, like, it still didn't come out great. Even with those quick tips, like your verticals and wide angle lens, you can still go into a house and be like, well, these pictures suck, so
Yeah.
you still need to learn the process.
Well, I don't think I was as smart as you. I think I started with like that Canon kit lens. It was like something to 55. I don't remember. But
Yeah,
I
the
quickly
18 to
realized, I'm
55.
like, why don't my pictures look very good?
Yeah. Hey, that's kind of why. That's better than most.
Yeah. Quick transition. But when I started in 2013, there honestly wasn't a ton of information out there. I found it a lot harder to find information about real estate photography. That's why I felt like I was like, there's some information out there, but then I was figuring out, but 2020, tons of resources out there now. So
Yeah, it's so much easier to learn now, and and real estate photography, I didn't even know that was a thing until I really dove in. I was like, this is actually like a whole industry. Like, I had no idea. It's never talked about very much, I guess, unless you do need to sell your house or you do have a vacation rental or something like that.
yeah. So talk to us a little bit about your first year in business. What did that look like when all right, I'm starting. What did your first year look like?
So I started contracting with Airbnb, and I tried to get some like practice, with them, and also VHT as well. And then I, started my website, and I tried to get like, local realtors and stuff like that. But honestly, at the beginning, my work just wasn't that great. And I didn't realize that, at the time. So I wasn't getting much bites that first year. But, through contracting and learning, taking on those jobs, it helped me grow in my own business, and just continue to grow and stuff like that. I think a big help with that, just getting to know local realtors, or just being in front of them, is just creating an Instagram and following them and stuff like that. After you kind of create a strong portfolio, just getting out there, following all the local realtors, and they're going to check you out. Someone follow you, they're going to look at your stuff.
Sure. So was that your complete strategy year one? You're like, I'm just going to go all in on social media, or did you do other types of activities? And if so, like what activities did you find the biggest bang for your buck? And are those activities you still do today?
Mainly it was just like building a website that was like, easy to, or like that looks good and is like easy to follow and stuff like that. And Instagram's been the main thing. And then it's just kind of word of mouth from there, using those local tags and stuff like that. And now that once you kind of get rolling with it and you provide like, good service and good work, then, you don't really need to contract as much. So, and kind of pull back on that contracting towards like the second year, I was able to focus more on just my business and, kind of keep going with that. So I still do the Instagram, and that's really the only thing. I did get suckered into Yelp once,
Yeah.
and that did not turn out well.
Oh my gosh.
But other than that, like, really, that's the only thing.
Don't give them your phone number. No, I'm just
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I got suckered out of like $180. I was like, oh, y'all suck. Y'all don't even send me the right leads. They kept just sending me stuff for real estate agents. I'm like, oh my gosh. So
yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about the importance of marketing, because that sounds like something that you really took pride in, and that's something that you really utilized in order to grow your business to the size that it is today.
Yeah, so I mean, I see like a lot of like photographer websites and stuff like that, and even I did it at the beginning where, there was just, it was an all-in-one. It was like, oh, I can do this, I can do like portraits, weddings, I can do real estate, and it's just so hard to navigate. And then sometimes too, I think like as creatives, we get too caught up on like how the site looks and artistic, like too artistic to follow, or to like for realtors to be like, I just want to book a shoot, or I just want to know what you do. So I think like niching down the website and just kind of focusing just on real estate, like that was a big difference for my first year as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's really important. So like you're out there fishing for customers, I guess you would put it that way, right? And you're bringing
Yeah.
them in. What is that presentation look like? Because what their goal is to sell listings, right? So they're looking at your website. Can this person help me sell my listing? So if the presentation there is like, oh, this person looks like they do weddings and portraits primarily and some real estate. I don't know if they're really
Exactly.
specialized in the niche that I'm looking for, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they're looking for somebody to market their stuff, So if we don't look like we know how to market ourselves, then I feel like that's kind of a red flag to their clients is like, if they can't even like put together a good looking website and market themselves well, how are they going to market for me?
Right. So give somebody that may be watching this that might be new, or they're like, I'm not doing any social media right now. What are those conversations and those interactions look like? I know you talked a little bit about it earlier about following local real estate agents, and then they check you out, but what do those interactions look like? Do you go straight into, hey, can I shoot your house, or what? Talk to us a little bit about what that process looks like.
So, I mean, usually I'll just, search realtor, kind of find people that have like realtor in their name, look at their profile. I'll just follow them. I won't message because, I mean, we all know how it is with editors contacting
Oh
us.
my gosh.
And 99% of the time, I do not open that email. I don't open that message. I'm not going to read it. I'm busy and I have an editor, and they might be busy and have a photographer. But I think just like subtly just following, liking their stuff every once when you're first starting out, just being engaging, liking their stuff, just nice comments, like just be a normal person and just be like, that's really cool, or whatever. And the more you kind of engage with it, they'll be like, they might not check out your stuff right away, but eventually they will. So I think kind of the more you just subtly engage and just kind of be in front of them, the better.
Yeah. What percent of your business today, because you're doing a good amount as a solo real estate photographer, what percent of your business is from doing that type of activity?
I would say it's about, I would say it's like kind of like maybe like 40% Instagram, um, and then maybe like, I don't know, I'm not good at math, but I would say like a big portion of it is Instagram, and then the other is website. I get a few through website, and I also get like people like that aren't in the area from the website, and then the other is just word of mouth. So it's like you start the Instagram to get a few people on your hook, and then once you provide that service and show them what you can do, then it's just word of mouth from there. So then kind of like just snowballs, as long as you
Right.
can get a few.
I gotcha. So,
Just
what do you think is the key to getting referrals from your client base? Like, what have you found that? Because that's what we do. I mean, that's our main sales force today is our existing clientele. So we know that as we deliver a great customer experience, they're going to refer us to their friends in the real estate industry, and so we focus
yeah.
so heavily on the customer experience. I was just curious what that looks like for you.
So I think just providing like, treating their clients really well is a big thing because they want to be able to trust you to go into their house. If they can't make it, they want to be able to trust you that you're going to provide great service for their client and make them look good. And so I think that's a big part of it. And, just kind of being friendly and just being good customer service. If there's a problem, address it, if there's just anything, and then just providing like consistent work and service and just the the overall look of your images or video and stuff like that, just being consistent.
Sure. So talk to us a little bit about your operation, because I know you mentioned that you have an editor. So is that something that you've always delegated, or did you do yourself for a little while and then you're like, I don't want to spend my time editing? What do things look like today?
So at first I did all my own editing. I tried to learn like, I do the flambient technique. It's usually about like one flash shot and then three different exposures of ambient. And at first, I would merge them all and like blend and do all the things. And after a while, it just got to be too much. And I would like either always be at the computer or always shooting. So I decided to try it. I tried about, I don't know, maybe like 4 editors before I got something that was fairly consistent, but I still like I'll send them off and I'll get them back and I'm still fixing them though.
Right,
So
right.
I mean it's worth it, but like there's still some things that I have to like adjust, you know. So I would love to be able to just get them back and be like, okay, good to go, you know, but
Yeah.
once I find that, that would be
Yeah, so where did
amazing.
you actually find your editors? Because there's probably somebody watching that's like, oh man, I'm in this shoes right now. I'm editing till 3 a.m. I know because I've been there. You
Yeah.
know, where do I
Well,
go
right
to
now
delegate?
I can't I think I went on the real estate photography group, you know, and you know how they're always like recommending editors, stuff like that. But I use Homie's Photo and they're about $1 an image. Um, they're pretty consistent. I mean it's I like it the most because they have like a portal on their website where you can upload to instead of I
Yeah,
hate Dropbox. So if I can avoid Dropbox, I'm going to. So
yeah,
I think that was like a big seller for me is just that like there's a portal I can go onto. I have access to all the images and just upload and you know
yeah. I'm the opposite. I love Dropbox.
I can't. It drives me crazy.
Oh my
I'll
gosh,
do Google Drive over Dropbox.
it just works so good. I can get a link before they're even uploaded. Like, let me move on with my day. Yeah. So, anyways, that's awesome. So I guess talk to us a little bit about maybe some tips that you have for somebody that's just starting out in real estate photography. You know, what do you recommend that they do in order to find success?
I think just you know, like I said before, just kind of contracting out and just building your connections and honing in on your skill. That was like the most helpful thing. Which, like, I know those big companies, like, you know, they pay crap and it's you know it's not good long term and stuff like that. But it's really good experience. And then once you've really honed in on your craft and you know what you're doing, you know, creating that website that's going to be easily accessible. I know from a lot of my clients, they love the online booking thing
Yeah.
because they're busy and don't want to have to go back and forth. They just want to get it scheduled. Um, and yeah, so I think like the main thing is just contracting, building your skills and then moving on to your own business and just making those connections with some decent marketing. And you don't have to pay for marketing either. There's so many ways now through this digital age. And then also utilizing YouTube as a really good just learning tool. And there's so many you know channels out there that you can learn from.
Sure. And you mentioned at the beginning, like you contracted with Airbnb because I polled our audience, and that's something that a lot of them struggle with is getting customers and getting jobs. And I think that's something that a lot of them struggle with, right? So you gave a lot of strategies around Instagram and stuff like that. But when you started, I guess expand a little bit about that Airbnb thing. Were you messaging people directly, or was it something directly with Airbnb and they would just send you work? How'd that work?
Yeah, so it was directly with Airbnb. They would just send me jobs, just kind of like any other contracting thing. I don't even remember how I heard about it. I think I had just thought of like one day, like I'm sure they have photographers, you know, because I was just trying to find work, you know,
Yeah,
anywhere
yeah.
I could. So I went on their website. It was actually kind of hard to find, but I eventually found where it was like a photographer, and so I just, you know, sent in an application, and then they looked at my work, and they were like, "Yeah, cool." And so they send me jobs. Like right now, they're doing a promo. I still contract with them. They're my only one that I stick with because they pay decent. Like I want to say a 1 bedroom, they'll pay you like 120. So you know, it's a decent amount. That for more, I mean, it can go up to 200,
Yeah.
300 sometimes when they're doing promotion. So for a contractor thing, it's like, oh, I'm already out there, whatever, I'll still do it. But yeah, that was a big one to help me really get on my feet and stuff. Airbnb is pretty consistent too. And you know, you make good connections as well. It's like you don't want to like poach their clients or anything, but they know people too. And, just people, just getting in touch with people that are in like the vacation rental world. Because vacation rentals right now are probably about 70% of my business. Since listings have been kind of lower this year, it's vacation rentals have been pulling me through.
Yeah. Awesome. So do you have any plans to build a team, or do you just enjoy being a solo photographer?
I would like to build a team. I really hate driving to Austin, so like anytime I do, I'm like, oh. So I would really love to put somebody in Austin, and then maybe somebody in San Antonio, and then I could just focus on New Braunfels, because I feel like I'm always going to San Antonio, and like that's not as bad of a drive, but when it's all the way on the west side, it's like, oh, that's an hour. So I think that would be really cool. I mean, ideally, it'd be cool to have somebody like in Corpus Christi too and stuff like that. But I think I'll just try to start out with like 2 people and kind of see how that runs.
Right. So right now, I guess New Braunfels is a smaller town, right? So maybe that's, if you just focused exclusively on a Braunfels, you probably wouldn't have enough, maybe sufficient work. Or I guess you could. I mean, there's always business, but broadening your market area has allowed you to kind of do a little bit more.
Yeah, for this, I mean, because I don't know our population, but it's definitely grown a lot. But yeah, I don't know how it would be if I would be able to fully, rely on just New Braunfels stuff. But the good thing about this area is like right up above us, there's Canyon Lake, which is big with vacation rentals. Down below, there's like Seguin, and then San Marcos is a college town, and San Antonio and Austin. So it's like really a great area, because if you can't focus on, just your city, like, and you can branch out just a little bit and drive an extra 20-30 minutes to make it work, and then what I try to do, because sometimes I get sent all over the place, just to try to make it more efficient, I'll just make certain days like San Antonio days, or
gotcha.
These are the ones I'm staying in Canyon Lake, New Braunfels today, and stuff
Sure.
like that.
Makes sense. So were there other contractors? Because I think that's a great idea, especially with somebody starting out, like, I don't have any business, let me try to have other people just send me a little contract work. At least that'll give me some revenue as I'm started. So it sounds like Airbnb. What did you search for? Airbnb photographers or something? And then there's the application process.
It was like I had went onto their website. You might be able to Google like Airbnb contract photographers, maybe that might bring something up. But I had just went on their site. I know I had to dig a little, because when I went like right on their job thing, it wasn't there, and I really can't remember what I did. It was back in 2019. Honestly,
yeah.
Sure.
That's smart move on your part.
But,
what were some of the other contractor things, just to give some people other ideas that they may be options for them in their market where they're at?
Yeah, so there's also VHT. They're okay. They have an easier process. It's just like one flash shot. You just go around one flash shot, whatever. So they're not a bad option. And then I think Virtuance is one too. I don't think I did anything with Virtuance. But yeah, there's a few, and I only recommend this like when you're starting out. I think the main thing is like you want to build your business, but while you're building your business, this is like a little cushion for you. Because you're obviously going to make more when it's direct to you. But it's a really good option. The only struggle too is like everybody has a different way of shooting, and each company is different, and you have to remember like, okay, they only want flash. They only want HDR, and then also just looking up your, like, whatever city you're in, other real estate photographers. I mean, hit them up and like, hey, do you need another photographer on your team? Like, I'm here in this city if you'd like, anybody to cover.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea as well, because I think just networking and just building those relationships, you might not have a ton of relationships with agents or even but we both have been, the starting out photographers, or even those days where you're like, dang, I have so much work. It would be nice to be able to delegate a job or two. So if you had, somebody that was interested in helping out, and they met the standards or criteria expectations, then, that would definitely help out.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in like befriending your competition and not like being like, oh, you're my rival. Because there's been so many times where I'm like, I can't take this one. Call this person,
Right.
I don't want to drive to Austin. maybe this guy can handle it, you know, or even since I don't do like weddings and portraits anymore, I'm like, call this girl, like she's got you, she's good, you know, like it's so much better to like utilize each other. And then that comes back to me too, because if they can't handle something or, you know, can't handle it or don't want to drive to New Braunfels or whatever, like I'm here, we're here to help each other out, or
Sure.
if one of us is sick or something like that.
Yeah, so let's talk about a little bit about long term. What are some of your maybe 5 to 10 year plans that where do you see your real estate photography business going?
Well, I'm hoping to like be able in that year's time, hopefully 5 years, be able to like instead of working the business, I'd like to be working on the business, you
Right.
know, like less time out on the field and, you know, more time just kind of managing it and just, yeah, just being less in the field, which I do love being out. I love doing what I do. It's awesome, but I think there's more growth when you put yourself on top of it instead of constantly working it.
Sure.
So that's where I hope to be, is just to have a couple photographers out there, you know, running some stuff. Maybe I go out every once in a while, but mainly working on the business and, you know, hopefully a different, you know, doing the product photography too, kind of managing something with that.
Sure. Yeah, I guess talk to us a little bit about that as well, because that was probably the last thing I wanted to touch on is, you know, you have your real estate photography thing going on, but you also have some other, you have your setup in the background there, you have product photography, like,
Yeah,
I guess talk
so
to us about that. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, just talk to
Yeah,
us about that.
I'm actually in the beginning stages with that, and I'm kind of gonna build it the same way I built this real estate business, is, you know, find some good contractors. Right now I'm in practice stage, just portfolio building and stuff like that. My plan is to contact like Amazon. I was talking to this one guy, he does like Amazon product photography, and I was like, cool. So, you know, kind of like Airbnb with that. So plan to just connect with some big retailers, see if I can get some contract work going on, then, you know, build a website, and then from there get my own clientele and keep going from there. So it's kind of the same strategy I'm going to take on with this one.
Yeah, so is it the model where they just send you products and it's like, all right, take pictures of these products in your little setup?
Yeah, and you get to just do it right out of your house, turn on some music, like,
dude,
that's cool.
and you don't even have to meet anybody there. You don't have to be there at a specific time. I
it's
think
like
that
all the benefits of vacant houses without
right.
having to, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing, and yeah, I think there's an art to product photography as well. But once you get it dialed in, I think we've actually done some product stuff. Man, we've dabbled in different things here and there, but I think that's a great idea to kind of just additional revenue, right? There's a lot of there's a lot of different.
Well, it's a big thing, I think, too, when you're a full-time photographer, is to not have all your fruit in one basket.
Sure.
I mean, you want to diversify, and like, you know, when I was doing the weddings, it was helpful, especially 2020, because, you know, everything was all crazy, you know, so it's like, you know, I had portraits, I had that, you know, you kind of just diversifying. Now it's full-time real estate, but I'm trying to diversify in real estate with a lot of like the vacation rentals and listings, and that's helped a lot. But I think adding in products will be even better. It's like you already have the gear, so you might as well diversify if you can.
Sure. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking time and joining me on this interview. How do people get a hold of you, check out your Instagram or your website if they want to get ideas about what they're trying to build?
Yeah, so you can check out my website at nextnestmedia.com, or my Instagram's nextnest_real estate media. And check it out. And I mean, build your own brand, you know, and just see where it takes you. That's what's brought me a lot of success, is just like finding your brand and really setting in on that and niching down for sure.
Very awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kaitlyn. I appreciate you taking the time and sharing a lot of insight with the audience, and we'll see you guys on the next one.